Welcome to Radio Naturopath, the talk show about health and natural medicine. This show will first be broadcast on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, on 91.7 FM WHUS Stores. I am Fran Storch, ND, naturopathic physician, with my co-host Ron Manizza. We're coming to you live from beautiful Mansfield Hollow, Connecticut. Comment below to let us know you're here and ask questions. You can also email me at radionaturopath@gmail.com. If you'd like to listen to the show at another time, you can check out our podcast at whus.org, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, and Buzzsprout. You may also watch the recorded Facebook Live episode at Fran Storch ND for 30 days, and also YouTube at Radio Naturopath. The views expressed on this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of this station. The information presented on this show should not be construed as medical advice or direction. If you're having a medical condition, please consult with your physician. So, do you remember, I don't know if I said this here already, but I was very happy that this year I had escaped the dreaded common cold. Well, guess what? A week ago today, I was feeling a little bit of raspy in my throat. The day before, I had noticed I had a little bit of congestion in my chest, and I thought, oh, maybe it's just allergies. And the next day, it was still kind of there, but not too bad. And on those 2 days, I had done spin class as well as ridden on the trainer. And the next morning, I woke up and went, you know what, this is a cold. Maybe it won't be too bad, but you know what, I better not see patients in person. And I called the office and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see only virtual today. So my staff, but usually when that happens, when I flip suddenly to virtual because I'm not feeling well, a lot of patients bail and they just say, no, I'm going to come in person. And then the rest do virtual. So I only saw 5 patients that day. I was still in the office from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the way it went was during the course of that day, I hit peak symptom. And by the end of the day, I felt like death warmed over. So it's really interesting how a cold can make you feel so horrible. I took my temperature, and my temperature was fine. I did not break a fever. But I felt that I didn't exactly feel achy, but my head felt stuffy. My nose was running. I was sneezing a million times. I had a low-grade bronchitis. And the next day, I didn't leave the house. And that afternoon, since I was still feeling peak symptomy, I said, staff, just cancel Thursday. So I didn't see patients on Thursday at all. And I said, we'll do virtual on Friday. And so I only saw 4 patients on Friday. So, and they were all virtual. So, it was just an amazing common cold. It came and it went. And thank goodness, I always hit a point during peak symptom where I'm like, am I ever going to be well again? How long is this going to go on? And am I going to be sick next week? And peak symptom is usually 2 to 3 days, and that's it. And then I start to feel better, then I feel a fair bit better the next day, and then you reach what's called the convalescent phase. And in the convalescent phase, you still have some symptoms left, but you're no longer contagious, and the malaise goes away. So one of the things that happens when you have a cold or an acute illness is you get malaise, and your body makes you feel like not doing anything. And there were things I wanted to get done, and I kept having to talk myself into trying to do things. And that was silly because, you really don't feel like doing anything. And it wasn't until, so I started to feel the first symptoms on Sunday, and then on Friday, the malaise went away. And I definitely felt like straightening up and cleaning up and getting some stuff done. And so now I'm just about back to myself. I still have some residual congestion, so I'm definitely convalescing, I would say. And so one of the things you have to remember is that when you get a cold, or a respiratory infection, or some kind of infection that comes and goes, that there is a convalescent phase. In the convalescent phase, your energy is coming back. You're no longer, pardon me, you're no longer, so you're no longer acutely ill, but you are, but you still have some symptoms left, and you might feel sort of tired. So I would say I'm still in the convalescent phase because I definitely still have some congestion. As you can hear, there's a little raspy. And if you heard my show a week ago, my voice became very raspy towards the end of the show. And that's because, there was virus in there and was starting to multiply. So about the common cold, when you get a cold, when you are sick, you're contagious when you're incubating. So I was contagious a week ago Sunday when I wasn't sure I was sick. So you're definitely contagious when you're incubating. So, and then when you start to feel the first symptom, you're definitely contagious then. And then, of course, when you're in peak symptoms, you're clearly contagious. So your contagion is basically gone away when your peak symptoms abate and you don't have a fever, and you may have some symptoms left, but by Friday, I would say I was probably still contagious Thursday. I was no longer contagious Friday, and I'm not worried about being contagious now at all, even though I've still got a cough and a little bit of a cough and a little bit of congestion. That your ears get plugged up and your sinuses get plugged up. And then it runs its course. Pardon me. What was amazing for me is that I thought, wow, I'm taking so many herbs. I'm taking vitamin C and zinc and selenium, and I'm taking so many different things that surely I'm going to avert this common cold this year. And that didn't happen. I mean, between the Japanese knotweed and the Chinese skullcap and the sweet Annie and the vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 22 milligrams of high quality zinc, and all the things I was taking, and spraying my nose with fulvic acid, as well as xylitol and other antimicrobial herbs, still got the cold. So body was this is just a cold. The thing is, you can do everything right and still get sick. So that was obviously illustrated to me. And, it might have not happened if I had more capacity to rest, because I'm running a business. I'm always very busy. There's always something to do. So settling down to get good quality rest is very hard for me. And so that's probably part of it. I probably could stand to eat less sugar, and that's part of it too. And some of it, I think, it just doesn't matter. If the virus sees you, you're going to get some version of it, and it's a matter of the severity of it. And, I was just pushing myself. I was riding my bike, whether on the trainer or outdoors, plus running the business, plus being stressed, whatever else I was doing, and it got me. So you shouldn't feel like because you got the cold, you're a failure. My immune system should be better than that. No, it doesn't work that way. Your body's, sometimes it just happens. And if you get through it and you feel better afterwards, it's good. It's a good exercise for your immune system. Now your immune system, for sure that your immune system fought it off and that your immune system's working the way it should. The other thing that was interesting is this was definitely the common cold. I didn't think it was COVID. And then I did finally, in fact, test myself for COVID, and COVID test was negative. And I felt different from COVID. When I had COVID, it was very weird because COVID felt insidious. Like there was a little bit of head congestion, but it made you really wiped out tired for a month. And it was kind of like your immune system couldn't quite get around it. It was a very weird thing. This one produced a really normal immune response, lots of sneezing, lots of runny nose, definite chest congestion. It was just very, very rhinovirus, adenovirus. It was probably not a coronavirus even. I mean, there are coronaviruses that are not COVID and they give you the common cold, but I don't actually know what virus it was. And I doubt it was RSV because, the bronchitis was minimal. There's still some bronchitis, but it's not extreme. So, this cold is going around. If you catch it, don't feel like you're a failure. It's okay. So what do you do when you have a cold? Well, first of all, prevention is getting enough rest, getting exercise, avoiding excessive starches and sugars, eating fruits and vegetables, eating clean protein, getting adequate rest, like I said, getting regular exercise, getting outside, not working too hard. These are all ways to help it. If you're going to be somewhere where there's a lot of people and you're concerned about catching viruses, you can wear a mask. I still do wear a mask when I go on a plane. I haven't been masking up in public as much as I used to. Generally, the only place I wear a mask anymore we wore a mask to the movie theater that one time we went, and I also will still wear a mask on a plane. But beyond that, I don't tend to wear a mask in public anymore. So it's quite possible I picked this up from one of my staff. I picked it up from one of my patients. I picked it up at the farmer's market. You know, this cold, as Ron said, is going around. And I doubt that I picked it up at spin class because, you know, I wouldn't have picked it up at spin class and then suddenly got symptoms. So I think I picked it up. I could have picked it up at the farmer's market or the week before. I mean, it's probably multiplying in me by the time I got to spin class, which means that somebody in spin class probably caught it later, unfortunately. Ron is feeling a little sniffly right now. He seems to have escaped it, and we wound up sleeping in separate rooms so he wouldn't catch it, but he's feeling a bit sniffly now. And if he catches it, that'll be interesting because that means that he will have started his symptoms a good week after I started mine. So he managed to beat it off for a while and then got it. So, you know, how the thing with the cold, on the one hand, you can treat it, and on the other hand, you can not, because there's a saying that the common cold lasts 7 days if you treat it and a week if you don't. Right. But I do think that if you try to work through it or keep doing things, keep exercising through it, you are more likely to get superimposed infections because your immune system is going to be busy doing two things. So the congestion is going to stay around. You're probably going to extend your cold if you don't rest. So that's why I did virtual. When I realized doing virtual was a really bad idea, I stopped working for a couple of days. And, you know, what are you going to do about the finances? Nothing you can really do because, you know, you're miserable. And, you know, you don't think as straight when and your body is designed to do that. Your body is designed to, when you have inflammation, like from a cold, that what you're really supposed to do is rest. That's why you don't feel like doing anything. That's built in, so that you're supposed to rest. And rest is the best thing because your adrenal hormones, like your cortisol, its job is to run your immune system, and its job is also to help you do things in the world, you know, to do fight or flight or whatever, you know, to do anything that you're generally doing. And if it also runs your immune system. So if you're busy doing things all the time, then your cortisol, your adrenal hormones are going to be divided, and there's not going to be as much available to power your immune system. So if you do nothing and you just rest, your adrenal hormones can take care of your immune system and help to fight the cold. If you can't fight it off, you're going to have congestion for that much longer. If you have congestion longer, ambient bacteria can start to grow, and then you get superimposed bacterial infections. So you can get a sinusitis, and you can get bronchitis, and you can even get pneumonia. So that's why it's important to really just rest, and then keep the secretions going, drink lots of fluids. I found that eating spicy things, I didn't lose my appetite completely, which made me happy because that meant it wasn't the flu. I didn't have digestive upset. I had a reduced appetite, but not extremely. I still felt like eating. Didn't feel like eating a lot, but I did feel like eating. So I ate. And Ron made nice spicy soup, which was fantastic. And so that was really helpful. And we still have some of the spicy soup. He made a spicy seafood soup. It was just tremendous. I called it gumbo. He said, no, it's not gumbo. It's seafood soup. Okay, whatever. Tastes like gumbo because it's fish soup and it has spices in it. So how is that different from gumbo? How is that different from gumbo?
Well, gumbo also has sausage, andouille sausage.
Andouille, right.
Yeah, andouille sausage. And also will sometimes have like a chicken or other type of meat.
So
too.
Gumbo is basically, I thought that's jambalaya. Gumbo doesn't necessarily have...
Oh, well, okay, maybe I'm confused.
No, Gumbo doesn't necessarily have sausage and chicken.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking jambalaya. Yep.
Right. Gumbo has filet in it, which is sassafras powder. Or is it okra powder? Could have either.
I don't know. This recipe was labeled as spicy fish soup.
All right. Well, it was good.
That's it.
It was good for my health, and I will eat more. It was awesome.
It's good because we still have a little left.
Yeah, so I'll keep. You can make it again. Might want to make soup again in case this is coming on.
Yeah, I have the makings for soup.
Right, because you're making a turkey breast.
I have makings for a lot of things in the house.
All right, we're gonna make a lot.
Because who cooks for you?
Who cooks for you? Yeah, I know, right? I'm very grateful.
You wise owl, you.
I'm old wise owl, yes. Right. So anyway, when you're lying there sick, what do? Well, you rest as much as possible. Take naps. Don't do anything too stimulating. I did a very stupid thing, which is I watched too much political TV and played video games.
That keeps you stress-free.
It does. No, it doesn't. Right. So I don't recommend that. If you're going to watch TV, watch dumb TV. Watch something funny or relaxing. Or don't watch TV. Read a paper book. And I did read a paper book when I could keep my eyes open. But try to do things that don't stimulate your brain too much. And do sleep when you can. I didn't even feel like doing yoga for a couple of days. And I knew I was starting to feel better when I was like, you know what, I'm going to do some stretchy yoga. And then I kept off the bike for 6 days. So I was on the bike Monday of last week and Monday of this week. So there's 6 days in between. I was completely off the bike. And I felt like today was the first day I could get back on and feel okay. So don't get exercise if you don't feel like it. It's okay. Don't feel like you have to push yourself. It's not good for you when your immune system is fighting something. It's not a good idea to exercise because, again, you're using your adrenal hormones when you really need your adrenal hormones to be available to run your immune system, run your cytokines, your bradykinins, to push your white blood cells to chew up the viruses. You want them to do that, and you want to, be able to drink lots of water and just rest, and then you'll figure out whether you feel like cold drinks or hot drinks. Hot drinks are nice when you're feeling cold. I felt like drinking hot tea, and I did. And I tried to keep the caffeine level down. I really enjoy black tea, and I do have some really nice quality decaf black tea, so I had some of that. Honey is great. So honey in tea tastes good, and it feels really soothing. And honey has actually been studied to be really good for helping coughs. It helps to suppress coughs and helps to soothe your throat. And it supposedly works better than cough syrup. There's actually been studies in children where they gave children honey versus a cough syrup, and the honey worked at least as well as the cough syrup. So that's great. So cough syrup, assuming was, dextromethorphan or something like that. But honey it has antimicrobial properties and it has soothing properties. I mean, the bees make it because it's the perfect food for bees, and it has antimicrobial elements to it. And of course it tastes good. So that was helpful. I did have Manuka honey lozenges. I had a couple of those. I did use a neti pot a few times. I always tell people, use your neti pot repeatedly while you're sick, but I just didn't feel like it. But I did use it a couple times, and it was soothing when I did it. And I just used salt water. I didn't use packets. The packets tend to have salt water and baking soda in them, and I don't like the way that feels. I feel like it burns my nose. So plain salt works great for me, and it feels very soothing going in. You always have to put some kind of salt in the water when you're using a neti pot. I had a patient come in, and she had figured out that it wasn't a good idea to just use plain water. I said, so we had to have a conversation about how osmosis works. You see, osmosis is the transfer of fluid from an area of low concentration to high concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. The semi-permeable membrane is the lining of your nose, the mucosa of your nose. And you have physiological salinity in that mucous membrane, meaning you have a certain level of salt in your nasal mucosa. So if you put an unsalted solution in your nose, it's going to go right into the tissues to find the salt that's there. So that's why you put a hyperphysiological saline solution in your nose, and that way the fluid's going to go the other way, because the fluid's going to come out of your nasal mucosa and go into the area of higher concentration, which is the salt solution. Interesting, right? And then the salt is going to kill whatever's in there. It'll kill the virus. Things can't survive in a high salt solution. That's why the Dead Sea is called the Dead Sea, because nothing can live in it. So if you put high salt in your nose, the viruses are going to die. If there's any fungus in there, it's going to die. If there's bacteria in there, it's going to die. So you really might avert a sinus infection if you do a lot of neti pots. And how often should you use the neti pot? I think as often as you feel like it. One rule of thumb is when you start to have an episode of violent nose running and sneezing, do it then, because you're having a viral bloom, and you're going to put that salt water in, and it's going to help to clear out that viral bloom. So any time that happens, so if it happens that you do the neti pot 6-7 times in a day, it's fine, because you're going to blow your nose anyway, so you might as well run water through it instead, and you might not have to blow your nose as much. I think that if you use the neti pot frequently while you're in the acute phase of your illness, you'll get better faster, and you won't have as much residual congestion. I didn't do a great job with that. I did the neti pot a couple of times, but I was so beat. I just, laid in bed a lot. The laying in bed a lot was good because it really forced me to rest, which I needed for many reasons. And I kind of still continue to take the herbs for Lyme and stuff. So while you're sick there, if you want to get better faster, you can increase your vitamin A. You can increase your vitamin D. I took some cough syrups. I have my cough syrup that I take a small amount of every day, and I took more of that. So it has great herbs in it, like wild cherry and elecampane and yerba santa, and like I said, wild cherry. And I have a syrup that I got from the Asian grocery store as well that has honey and loquat and fritillary and licorice, and I think it also has cherry in it. So I took that as well. And so the Asian grocery store can be a treasure trove. You find interesting things there. So I think a few years ago I'd had a bronchitis, and I went in there and I asked if they had honey, loquat, anything, and the guy handed me the syrup, and it was a medicinal, over-the-counter Chinese medicine syrup with all these herbs in it. So I keep that around. It keeps. It's in glycerin, and it tastes fine, and it's pleasant. And the other thing you can get at a Chinese grocery store, you probably get honey loquat lozenges. So those are nice to have around. I used to be able to get them from my distributor, and I haven't been able to for a while. But that would be the place to go to if they have it. And I'm going to be near the Asian grocery store, in a couple of days. And so when I go there, I might pop in and see if they have honey loquat, anything for me. So that was interesting, and I intend to get more rest. We used to say in naturopathic college, when you're sick, avoid red cat's milk. And who drinks the milk of a red cat? So red cat's milk was an acronym. It was avoid red meat, caffeine, alcohol, tobacco, sugar, and dairy. Those are all things you should avoid while you're sick. So the red meat thing is just that it's too intense to try to digest. So you want to eat things that are a little easier to digest. Caffeine, again, you don't want to be revving up your immune system, revving up your hormones unnecessarily. Just let your adrenal hormones do their thing. Alcohol, of course, is dehydrating, and it takes up the resources of your liver. You need your liver to run your immune system. Tobacco goes without saying. You're inhaling chemicals and pollutants, and you're burning out. You're actually burning out the system that needs to be cleaning out. It's not a good idea. And then sugar suppresses the functioning of your immune system and will feed the viruses and bacteria. So it's a good idea to stay away from that. And then dairy causes increased mucus in anyone. It causes increased mucus even in people who are not allergic to it. And then there are herbs. If you want to take something herbal, herbs like echinacea, osha, lomatium, eleuthero. So adaptogenic herbs can be helpful. Antimicrobial herbs like oregano oil and berberine can be helpful. Ginger is great. Drinking ginger tea and having tea that has something spicy in it is a really good idea. So ginger, cayenne, lemon. Lemon is great because lemon helps to clear mucus. If you can tolerate citrus is a good idea. Citrus in general clears mucus, but lemon and lime are so, they have very little sugar, and then they do have those mucus clearing properties. So if you mix lemon and honey and ginger together, ginger's anti-inflammatory. I find it very soothing, and that I really wanted spicy because when when the properties of the illness that you have are cold. This was definitely a cold, like it was a cold, damp cold. So because I was craving heat, I became chilled. I wanted hot things. I wanted hot tea and hot soup and spicy things. So if the cold is asking for that, and in Chinese medicine, you have a wind cold EPI, and it's a windy time of year, and it's still cold out, and EPI is external pernicious inflammation. So when the wind and the cold come to you and you're not protected against it, if your defenses are down, if your Wei Qi is down, that's the Wei Qi is the first line of defense against invaders. If that's down, then you're more likely to get sick. And so the answer to that is warm. So you take warm baths, warm your feet up, wear warm clothes, get in warm blankets. I was freezing when I got home on Tuesday evening after working, and I felt much better once I get under the covers and in warm jammies and stuff. I also, we had a nice spring-like day, and I put all my sweaters and things downstairs and brought my summer stuff up, and it was way too soon, and I had to bring back my winter pajamas. I had to bring some of those back up because it's still raw overnight. Yeah, it's raw. So yeah. So you answer it the way that it's happening. So there's definitely things that you can do, and the thing is you have to wait it out. And the best thing to do is, the best couple things to do would be to rest and hydrate. If you do nothing but those two things, you probably get better faster. Rest and hydrate, and don't eat sugar, don't smoke, don't drink. The red cat's milk thing is a good idea. But if you do those things, you probably get better faster, and you'd be less likely to get a superimposed infection. And then don't jump back into your life too fast. I remember having a great lecture from Mary Bove. Mary Bove is a naturopath in Vermont, and she is a wonderful herbalist, and she does a lot of work with children. And she talked to us very specifically at a conference about the convalescent phase of illness, and you need to respect the convalescent phase of illness. And I, hang out with a lot of athletes who are like, oh, I was still coughing, but I thought it would be really great to get outside in the fresh air, and that would get some of that gunk out. That, in my opinion, is a bad idea. A great idea is to wait until you're actually antsy for a good 3 days and then get back out to your exercise. And when you get back to your exercise, don't go full bore. I mean, I did a gentle ride today on Saturday morning. I said Saturday it's too soon to even do regular yoga. I did start doing yin and restorative yoga because I could handle that. And it's just lying around and stretching. And I'd been lying around so much that my body felt achy. I'm looking very much forward to seeing my chiropractor today. So I did some gentle yin restorative yoga on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday I said, all right, I'm going to take a regular yoga class. And I took the regular yoga class, and fortunately the teacher, her name was Anne at Samadhi, she taught a very gentle class, and that was great. There were still standing poses, but it was very gentle. And then in the evening, I took restorative with Angie, which was tremendous. And then today I finally decided, okay, I'm going to get back on the bike, and just got on for an hour, easy to moderately easy spin. And probably what will happen today is I'll go to the chiropractor, and he'll say to me, nope, you can't take regular yoga because I want the adjustment to set. So, and then tomorrow I'll be back to, lifting and regular yoga and stuff like that. But you ease back into your life, and when you're convalescing, you continue, even though you're not contagious anymore and a lot of your symptoms are gone, but you still may have some gunk. It's still a good idea to take the things that are going to help you get the gunk out. Like if you want to take N-acetylcysteine, NAC, that can help to clear gunk. If you want to still take some guaifenesin, I could probably take some guaifenesin. So guaifenesin is what's in Mucinex, and it's natural. It is extract of guaiacum bark, and you can get natural products that have guaifenesin in them. You can also go to the drugstore and get Mucinex. But when you get Mucinex, I recommend getting plain Mucinex that has nothing but guaifenesin in it. It doesn't have dextromethorphan, which is an opioid that they give you for cough suppression. I don't recommend that. And you can get Mucinex that has a decongestant in it, so it'll be some kind of a sympathomix, something to dry you out. Not a good idea to get that either. I think get just the plain Mucinex. The plain Mucinex has guaifenesin in it, and all it is a mucolytic. And you can take. I find that if I take 800 milligrams in a day, that's plenty. And the pills that I have are a natural product, and they're 200 milligrams per pill, so I can dial in the dose a little bit better. And Mucinex comes the lowest. The pills are 600 milligrams, so you shouldn't take any more than 2,400 milligrams in a day, or you're going to get nauseous. That's the only side effect. That if you take too much, you get nauseous. But I find that if you stay under that 2,400 milligrams, they're perfectly fine, and they do definitely thin your mucus. So the best mucolytic, I will show you on screen. It's really precious, amazing stuff. Here it is. Yep, it's water. The best thing to thin your mucus is water, but definitely some guaifenesin can be helpful. Some lemon and lime are really good, and so is NAC. N-acetylcysteine is a mucolytic as well. So you can keep taking those during the convalescent phase, even especially if you still feel like there's mucus in the back of your throat. You can still be eating your spicy soups, drinking your spicy tea, and staying away from sugar, and resting. So, like I said, still respect. You may not need the antimicrobials, but the things to help you clear the mucus and warm you up are still a good idea, and I'm going to continue to do those. I had some spicy soup last night. It felt so good. Oh my goodness, it was really great. So anyway, so respect the convalescent phase. Realize that the convalescent phase is a thing. There's no reason to jump back into your life. You will feel better, and you'll feel better once you get back into your life. You'll feel better than if you rest and you convalesce properly. You'll feel better when you get back into your life than you did before you got sick. Like, even if you weren't sick a week and a half ago, you were probably burning the candle on both ends, and that's why you got sick in the first place. That's how that happens. I know that my office manager, Aim, she's really good at not catching these things, or she catches them. She feels a little tickle in her throat for a couple of days, and she's off it. I don't know if she just has an amazing metabolism, or she's better about not eating sugar, or she's not as stressed for something. She has a different body than I do. I think that, I don't have a particularly fast metabolism. It's not particularly slow, but it's not particularly fast. And Ron and Amy, they just have some incredibly high metabolisms, and they're very, very active. And people who have very high metabolisms, not only are they generally active, but they move more. Like, if you observe them in their everyday life, they don't sit still. Like, when they're sitting still, they're just twitchy, and they move a lot. They make a lot more movements. And I'm not like that. I've never been like that. In fact, my mom said that when early in my life, I was actually kind of hypotonic. I didn't move around a lot. So that's interesting. So, so I'm pretty good at resting and lying around. Kind of, sort of. Although I get it in my head, I have to get this and that and the other thing done. So anyway, so that's the story of the cold. If you catch the cold, I know it's already late March. You're listening to this in early April. It's still out there. I found in my practice that over the years, the cold and flu season became more and more protracted. That I used to think of the cold and flu season as starting in about November and finishing up sometime in March. And then over the years, it's gotten to the point of, as soon as school starts, everybody starts getting sick. So sometime in September, people start getting sick, and it rolls through until April, May, pretty much. And the thing is, I generally am good for one cold a year. I had a cold last year too. And last year it happened a month earlier. I don't think I was as sick. This one really hit me hard. But last year, it happened around Valentine's Day, because I missed the chocolate festival. And this year, it waited another month. It didn't happen until March. I thought I had escaped it because it was already March, but nope. Oh well. So if you catch it, don't be hard on yourself. In fact, do the opposite. Be kind to yourself. Take off work, rest, sleep, drink water, stay away from sugar, eat and drink hot things, and see how you do. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about something else. I want to check in with Ron. How is Ron doing?
All right. I'm okay.
You're going to have an MRI.
I'm going to have an MRI.
That's great.
Early April. Yeah. We're going to see what's going on with my back.
Yeah.
And my neck.
Yeah.
Because something's going on.
Right.
Obviously, it was the visit to the neurologist gave them enough information for them to realize that, something's seriously wrong here. So we need to look at it and see what's going on. So probably a pinched nerve in my neck is probably the number one culprit, if it is there.
Right, and how are they going to unpinch it?
I don't know. Right. We haven't really had that discussion yet.
To see how
it may be a surgical thing.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that can unpinch a nerve.
Well, it depends how it's pinched. Pinched nerve is such a lay term. It is totally a lay term. People are like, I have a pinched nerve. Okay, what's pinching it? What's pressing on it? We don't know. Do you have a compression fracture? Do you have a subluxation? The subluxation, I think it's probably more than a subluxation because you're getting good chiropractic care, and that helps somewhat, but it's not helping all the way. And I'm just wondering if you just have a structural thing that's so out of alignment. I mean, you might have a calcification that's pressing down on your neural foramina, and so your nerves are just constantly being pressed on. They're either going to, when they do the MRI, they're going to see either some kind of a lesion, or they're going to see that you have calcifications, because your X-ray showed that there was some narrowing of your neural foramina in your, I think it's a couple of your cervical vertebrae. So they're going to be able to identify that a little more intensely when they do the MRI.
Yeah, I have a list here from the Mayo Clinic, and it says there are blood tests that you may need to take to check your blood glucose or thyroid levels.
You do that all the time.
I do that all the time. I just got that recently.
Yeah.
Spinal tap, also known as a lumbar puncture.
So what do they think is going to be in there?
The test collects a sample of
cerebrospinal fluid.
From the area surrounding your spinal cord. And it can be sent to a lab and examined for signs of inflammation or infection. Right. X-rays, we already did that. Nerve conduction study.
Which is what you had.
Right, we did that. Electromyographic, the EMG, which I just did.
Yes.
Magnetic resonance imaging.
That's what you're going to
get. That's what I'm doing. And high resolution ultrasound.
You haven't had that.
Uses a high frequency sound wave to produce images of structures within the body. It's helpful for diagnosing nerve compression syndromes.
You might
know all this. We already know this.
You're probably going to get the MRI.
So the treatment is rest for the infected area, stop any activities that cause compression or making symptoms worse. That would be living. I just, what am I supposed to stop doing? Depending on the location of pinched nerve, you may need a splint, collar, or brace to immobilize the area.
Or traction.
If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, that's another story. We do have carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
I know that. Physical therapy, they can do exercises that strengthen and stretch the muscles to relieve the pressure on the nerve. Physical therapists may also recommend that you modify activities that aggravate the nerve. I'm not going to stop riding my bike. But, if they tell me to stop riding my bike, I'd be very disappointed.
Well, you tried that, and it didn't do very much.
No. And then there's medications, which is all anti-inflammatory stuff.
But the medication, it all depends. Again, you need a specific diagnosis. And if they do your CSF and they find Lyme disease in there, then you're going to get treated with more herbs. And, if you have CSF Lyme, I doubt you do because you'd be a lot sicker.
Yeah.
I think this is mechanical. That's what I think. I think it's mostly, I think you have chronic Lyme, which is probably not helping.
Right.
But I think it's mechanical because your symptoms get aggravated when you do stuff.
The thing that keys me into something slipping,
Yeah.
like a disc that may have slipped in some way, is that it really, the process of going from feeling really good to feeling really bad was only about 45 days.
Right. So that would tend to mean that it was an injury.
I would
Something
say.
happened.
I would
you
say.
could have had a compression fracture, or it just there was poor structural alignment anyway, and then it just slipped into place. So now it's just in a really bad spot.
Right.
Or or a calcification grew big enough that it's pressing on a nerve, or it. Yeah. So.
And that's the other thing. It could be arthritis in my neck.
Yeah. Right.
And
right.
the arthritis could be also doing the same
Meaning
thing.
that you're right, because because the discs compress until you've got facets sitting on each other, and you have compressed neuroforamina, so the nerves get compressed.
Right, and as Dr. Scott says, I threw my body onto the ground so many times, we have no idea how much damage I did to myself.
Right.
And that it just is going to take time. He has some very interesting stories about people with accidents.
Yeah.
And how when he breaks loose into another barrier of their accident, they actually can smell things that happened during the accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had some fascinating stories. He had a guy who had 5 different car wrecks. And every single time he would break a barrier through with the chiropractic care, the guy would, he could smell like the burning or whatever, different things that were happening because it was opened and exposed.
Well,
that's a little bit out there.
He had some trauma.
Yeah.
Well, he had some trauma memories, and the trauma memories that, like the brain pathways that remember the accident were connected to the injury.
Right.
So there's just brain connection. I mean, it's not particularly esoteric how that happens. It's just your brain records what happened in the injury, and then it's stored in your long-term memory, and those brain connections are connected to the injury. Literally, there's a connection between the nerves and the memory, the nerves and the memory centers of your brain. And so
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating. So he keeps asking me, "Have you smelled anything different?" And that's like, no.
Well, I don't know that you remember smells when you fall. You might, but you might remember sights. You might remember seeing stuff but you fell so many times, and all you keep doing is no, I'm fine, and getting up and getting back on your bike, or getting up and
put me back on my bike.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how's my bike?
How's my bike? Is it okay? Did I fall? Did I fall enough so that I put my body before the bike?
I literally broke my arm. My arm was broken. I couldn't put my arm up, and I asked Dave, "How's my bike?"
Right.
Yeah.
It's what you do. It's the method to your pleasure.
Yeah.
So you immediately want to know if the method to your pleasure is okay.
Yeah.
Because you want to continue to have pleasure.
Right.
And the bicycle is that.
It's also expensive. If it's very broken, then you have to go get another one.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, but you don't generally care as much about your car if you're in a car crash.
It's not the same.
You're more caring about, am I okay?
Oh yeah. Well, car, you have insurance. You don't have the same emotional. Well, maybe some people do, but I do not have the same emotional connection to my Kia as I do to my Bianchi.
Right.
No freaking way.
I understand that.
Notice how my WHUS shirt is even, the WHUS is written.
It's Bianchi colors.
It's in
Look at that.
Celeste.
Celeste.
Yes.
Celeste.
Yes, it is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go see Dr. Scott today, so that will be nice, because I bumped my head a little bit on a shelf last week, and I also had this cold, and I've been lying around, and we joke about my pizza slice. He says that the sacrum is like a pizza slice, and that he adjusts the pizza slice, and then we talk about pizza, and then we get hungry. And then Ron makes really good pizza, and then we eat it.
So you make good pizza.
Make good pizza, and we make we found the good gluten about... and talk a little bit about menopause and weight loss, because I have so many menopausal ladies who come in and they just can't lose weight, and it's really hard. It is really hard to lose weight when you're peri and postmenopausal, and there's so many reasons for that. So let's go in and see what a few folks have to say about it, and then I'll talk about my perspective on it. So, so here's a really great statement. This is from Regional One Health, and it says here, the best menopause diet should focus on health and energy rather than losing weight. That is what I say to my patients all the time. And, you know, big shout out to my colleague, Jay Tita, who said this to me a long time ago. What he said was, he said that weight loss is neither linear, fair, nor predictable, that you can do everything right and still not lose weight. And also that weight loss is not something you do, it is something that happens as a result of what you do, and even then it may not happen. So if you focus on it, it will make you crazy. I want to lose 5 pounds. You do? Does your body want to? Will your body? You don't know. So, and weight loss is not something you can expect to do by this date, I'm going to have lost 5 pounds. You may or may not. But what you can expect to do is to change your diet and your lifestyle to something that's going to be really healthy for you, and it's going to make you feel good. And you will feel good a lot sooner than then you will lose weight. So if you do a diet, if you change your diet and you get rid of sugar and chemicals and processed food and too much caffeine and alcohol, and start eating a lot of vegetables and fruit and nuts and seeds and clean protein and avoiding food intolerances, you're going to feel really, really good in as little as a week or two. And your energy is going to improve, and your digestion is going to be a lot better. And all of those things are going to happen a lot sooner than you actually losing weight. You will probably lose some weight too. But if you focus on that, because, you know, when you're married to a scale and married to a number on a scale, that's not going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is you being happy. And you will be happier if you're putting nutrition into your body so that you can move and exercise and be in your life in a way that makes you happy. So you focus on eating foods that you focus on foods that boost your heart health, that increase your bone strength, your muscle mass, and avoid the cycle of losing and gaining weight repeatedly, which is really what's worse for you. If you want to get bone density issues, gain and lose a bunch of weight constantly, because that it stresses your body, and when you reduce calories too much, you're going to start losing tissue from places that aren't your fat. So be kind to yourself, eat a variety of nutritious foods that make you feel good. You're going to have better health and nutrition during your peri and postmenopause. So the Pallavi Khanna, MD, who's a menopause practitioner at Regional One Health, leads their menopause care clinic and support group and talks with patients about it. Don't think about the number. She's saying exactly the same thing that I say. Don't think about the number on the scale. Think about how your nutrition impacts muscle loss, bone loss, heart health. There are so many things your body goes through during menopause that you don't have control over. But there are also things where you can make healthy choices, and what you eat is one of them. So she did some speaking with Emily Gauss, who's a nutritionist. And so this Regional One, by the way, it's in the Memphis, Tennessee area. So Emily Gauss offered advice on how menopausal women can shift their focus when it comes to diet from losing weight to fuel activity and fulfilling lifestyle. So be kind to yourself. Give yourself permission to eat what will satisfy you in a way that aligns with your health goals and how you want to feel. So Gauss said menopause can contribute to weight gain and changes in body composition, such as more weight accumulating around your abdomen. During menopause, your estrogen levels drop. With less estrogen, women face an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, higher blood sugar, loss of muscle mass, slower metabolism, decreased bone density. And it can be tempting to think that dieting to lose weight will fix it, but that's a vast oversimplification. All diets are based on having fewer calories than you burn, whether it's keto, intermittent fasting. The goal is to reduce calories, but there are risks associated with pursuing weight loss as your goal. When you restrict calories, the body thinks there isn't enough food in the environment, so it tries to hold on to everything it can. This slows your metabolism, so you're more likely to gain weight if you start eating normally again, or even if you continue to eat less, which can lead to a cycle of losing and gaining weight repeatedly. The cycle contributes to decreased bone density, decreased muscle mass, increased inflammation, and slower metabolism, and a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, the same problems you're trying to prevent by losing weight. There are plenty more reasons not to focus solely on weight, and there is little evidence that weight loss alone leads to better health. So just losing weight doesn't lead to better health. So that's the unfortunate thing about taking those GLP-1 drugs like your semaglutide and your tirzepatides and stuff. In fact, research suggests that gaining 17 to 22 pounds during menopause may have some benefits because estrogen produced by additional fat cells is cardioprotective. Also, one of the weight measurements most commonly used to measure health, we talked about this before, the BMI chart, the body mass index chart, isn't an accurate predictor. BMI was never designed to gauge individual health, but to provide a snapshot of society. It was also developed, wait for it, the BMI, the body mass index, was developed over 200 years ago. And it was based solely on white European men.
Well, geez.
And it fails to consider exercise, sleep, nutrition, and other key factors, like if you're not a pale male from Europe.
Right.
Modern research shows patients don't experience consistent health problems until they have a BMI over 40. Yet the chart considers a BMI of 30 obese and a BMI of 40 morbidly obese. With that in mind, Emily Gauss suggested shifting the focus away from weight and BMI when designing a healthy diet for menopause. Instead, she advised women to use nutrition as a way to improve overall health, gain energy, and protect against serious disease. So here's some stuff you do. Aim for 3 meals and 2 to 3 snacks daily, spaced 2 to 4 hours apart. Include each food group: protein, carbohydrates, fats, fruits and vegetables, and dairy, if you're not dairy intolerant. To improve bone density and muscle mass, get enough calcium, vitamin D, phosphorus, and magnesium from dairy, spinach, broccoli, eggs, salmon, nuts, and seeds, and soy, if you tolerate soy. For heart health, healthy fats like olive. She says canola. I'm not so big on canola oil because I'm not really big on seed oils. Because when you overeat seed oils, you can get polyunsaturated fats can break down, and then you get free radical damage. Nuts, seeds, avocado, and fish oil, which I'm all a fan of. You can increase your fiber intake with fruits and vegetables, whole grains, complex carbohydrates, flax, beans, lentils, and soy. And don't forget seeds like the tiny seeds like chia, flax, and hemp are all, well, it says flax here. But don't forget about chia and hemp seeds as well. And build your body image resilience and protect your emotional health as it relates to weight with counseling, yoga, community support. Emily Gauss wants you to look at your menopause diet as an opportunity to improve your health rather than as a punishment designed to constrict your weight and your confidence. Menopause is not a disease or something to cure, but it can be a challenging time of life. You're transitioning to a new stage of life, so use your energy to add meaning rather than micromanage your weight or avoid new experience because of how your body looks. Don't live a life that shrinks, live a life that continues to grow. So I think that's just like the absolute best advice. I mean, that's kind of what I tell my patients all the time, that don't focus on the number on the scale. Focus on eating healthfully and not eating junk and reducing your stress. The handout that I give, the number 1 and number 2 things on the handout are reduce your stress and reduce your stress. Because what condition does stress reduction help? All of them. It helps everything. So reducing stress is a great idea. So even if I tell you supplements that are going to help you reduce your weight, it's only going to work so well. And if you take the weight loss drugs like your semaglutides and your tirzepatides and drugs like that, those drugs, they do hijack your metabolism, but at a cost. They only work for about 5 or 6 years. They only help you lose weight so much, and they do cause you to lose tissue in places other than where you want it. You don't just lose fat when you're doing those drugs. You wind up also you lose muscle mass, and you lose collagen tissue, and you lose bone mass. You can get And there are people who are getting reduced bone density from taking those drugs. So I don't recommend it. Oh, goody. Now we have the hiccups.
Nice.
Yeah. So I hope I can get through this. Yeah, that's great. And when you're in the middle of making a show, you get the hiccups. That's fantastic. So,
There you go.
anyway, so here's some more information about ways to lose weight during menopause. Remember, the best way to lose weight during menopause is to not think about it. And so the way that you're going to help yourself to lose weight is by living a good lifestyle that makes you happy and eating whole foods. That's basically how that's going to happen. So weight gain occurs before and during menopause because of a drop in your estrogen levels, and low quality sleep, regular age-related reductions in metabolism, and muscle tone can also contribute to the weight gain. The weight tends to develop in your abdomen, and although losing weight can be more challenging, there are things that people can do that can be effective. Again, don't focus on it, and don't make yourself crazy over it. And yet there are some things that you can do. And this is interesting. I'm looking at this article that I'm reading. I'm being selected from you for you, and there's an ad for Zepbound, which is tirzepatide. That's amazing, and because this is the market that's going to be interested in that. And I'm telling you, if you're desperate, by all means, but I'm not a big fan, and I own it. I own that I'm not a big fan, but then if you have diabetes and you have blood sugar issues and you want to try it, you could try it. Just be aware that it's not as good for you as eating a healthy diet and living a reduced stress lifestyle. So your menopause happens after you go a full 12 months without a menstrual cycle, and during menopause and perimenopause, the period leading up to menopause, you can gain body fat and find it harder to lose weight. And it's because of the changes in your estrogen levels, and it's also the change, you just become more sensitive to cortisol. Estrogen plays a role in your physical sex characteristics, regulating your menstrual cycle, and maintaining bone health. During menopause, your estrogen levels dip substantially. I think that estrogen mostly dips in your blood. It doesn't dip as much in your tissues. Pardon me. So I'm gonna have to spend some time editing out these hiccups. Great. Anyway, so
the pleasures of podcasting. Also, you're out of time.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take myself out of the game right now, and I'll talk to you more about fat loss and hormone levels and weight next week. So I'm going to let you go. So let's see. So all right. So let's get to our last bit here. You have been listening to Radio Naturopath, the talk show about health and natural medicine. I am Fran Storch, ND, naturopathic physician, with my co-host, Ron Menizet. You can email me with questions and comments at radionaturopath@gmail.com. If you'd like to listen to this show at another time, you can check out our podcast at whus.org, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, and Buzzsprout. You may also watch the recorded Facebook Live episode at Fran Storch, ND. The views expressed on this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of the station. The information presented on this show should not be construed as medical advice or direction. If you're having a medical condition, please consult with your physician. Thank you for listening to Radio Naturopath, your show where you can learn about the best of science and nature. We'll be back with more Radio Naturopath next week at 91.7 FM, WHUS Stores, and WHUS.org.